It's easy to think of our planet as stable, even permanent. After all, it's been around for 4.5 billion years. It's been through so much, and yet nothing has ever destroyed it. But while Earth is durable, that doesn't mean it's invincible. In fact, there are forces that could end our world as we know it within seconds, minutes, or days. And we may be living on borrowed time. Take Yellowstone National Park, for instance. It's home to the world's largest supervolcano and one of the most destructive forces known to man. You can experience its awesome power at its namesake, the Grand Prismatic Spring. Its vibrant colors come from bacteria that thrive in the scalding water heated by the magma chamber below. That magma chamber is also responsible for the tremors that regularly shake the area. On average, Yellowstone experiences about 2,000 earthquakes every year, most of them too weak to be felt. However, some are strong enough to make an impact. For example, in 1985, a magnitude 7.3 earthquake struck and was felt as far away as California. The good news is that these quakes help scientists keep tabs on the magma chamber. They can use data from seismometers to track how the magma moves and estimate when the next eruption will occur. Right now, they estimate that there's a 1 in 700 chance of an eruption in the next 30 years. But even if it happened tomorrow, we would have plenty of warning. Scientists can monitor gas emissions, ground deformation, and rising temperatures to predict when it will blow, and that gives us time to prepare. People will need to evacuate the surrounding areas, and with 30 days' notice, it would only cost about $12 million. So, let's say it does erupt tomorrow. We're prepared. We've given everyone their fair warning, and no one gets hurt. But what if our doomsday scenario didn't come with 30 days' notice? Like, what if it came with 30 seconds? When the Northridge earthquake struck in 1994, people had no time to brace themselves. They were simply caught off guard. This is a much more realistic scenario than a supervolcano erupting because earthquakes are one of the most common natural disasters on Earth. There are thousands of earthquakes that happen every year, some large enough to cause major damage. But this kind of disaster happens suddenly and without warning. Unlike the slow build-up of pressure that precedes a volcanic eruption, the precursor activity for an earthquake is often too weak to detect until it's already happening. The only way to get a sense of when the next big one might hit is to look at past patterns. And even then, all we can get is a rough estimate. Experts once thought that San Francisco would experience a major quake every 250 to 300 years. Then the 1906 San Francisco earthquake came along and threw that prediction out the window. Now experts say that it could happen any day. So, when it comes to earthquakes, we're pretty much always living on borrowed time. All we can do is hope that when the next big one hits, we're prepared. And in some cases, that means investing millions of dollars into making buildings more resilient. But what if there was something that could destroy the entire planet, and we wouldn't see it coming until it was right on top of us? You don't have to look too far back in history to find an example. 1783, a series of volcanic eruptions in Iceland caused the largest environmental disaster in recorded human history. The eruptions unleashed 20 cubic kilometers of ash and lava, blocking the sun and cooling the planet. The following winter became known as the Volcanic Winter. Crops failed across Europe, and the death toll reached over 9,000. And it could have been much worse. If the volcanoes had erupted during the summer, the crops would have immediately wilted, and the impact would have been devastating. As it was, people had time to adjust and prepare, which saved many lives. But again, this is a very realistic scenario. Volcanic winters aren't exactly rare, and sometimes the disruption to the climate can last for years, not just months. A few decades ago, Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines blew its lid and sent 150 million tons of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. That led to a 3-year volcanic winter, and global temperatures dropped by 0.5 degrees Celsius. While that may sound like a small change, even a minor shift in temperature can have huge consequences. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. Temperatures have fluctuated by much larger amounts due to natural causes alone. But what if the next climate changer came from an asteroid? In 1908, A 2-kilometer-wide asteroid struck Siberia. The explosion was equivalent to 30 megatons of TNT. It flattened 80 million trees over 2,000 square kilometers and caused a shockwave that traveled around the world twice. People felt the heat from the blast 1,000 kilometers away. But you probably know the story best from the movie Don't Look Up. An asteroid that size hitting Earth would be catastrophic. If it landed in the ocean, tsunamis would barrel toward the shore and wipe coastal cities off the map. If it hit land, it would leave a crater hundreds of kilometers wide and deep. But luckily, we can spot asteroids headed for Earth long before they get here. It takes a bit of work to scan the skies and track near-Earth asteroids. But NASA has been doing it since 1998, and they haven't found anything that's worrisome yet. That doesn't mean that we're safe forever. Asteroids are like cockroaches. You can kill a few of them, but there's always more coming. And honestly, it doesn't matter how many we discover, because there's one hiding behind our own moon. It's called the Dark Mission, and it's about 3 kilometers wide. It flies by Earth every 5 years or so, and it's covered in carbonaceous chondrite meteorites, which contain organic compounds and amino acids. Some scientists believe that life on Earth originated in these meteorites, but if they crashed into Earth today, they would decimate the planet. In fact, they probably did at some point in the past. The KT boundary is a thin layer of rock found around the world that dates back 66 million years. It contains an unusually high concentration of iridium, an element that's rare on Earth but common in space. That suggests that something extraterrestrial had crashed into our planet, maybe an asteroid. The Chicxulub crater in Mexico dates back to the same time, and it's perfectly round. Scientists agree that something big must have hit Earth around then and wiped out the dinosaurs. So when it comes to asteroids, we're basically living on borrowed time until we figure out a way to protect ourselves. Now, it's not like we'll be defenseless against an asteroid. We have the technology to launch a nuclear missile and blast it out of the sky. The odds of a meteor strike are incredibly low, but not zero. And we shouldn't put all of our eggs in that basket. But there's something else lurking in our cosmic backyard that we can't defend ourselves against: the sun. Eventually, it will expand beyond its current size and engulf the inner planets. The inner solar system will become a scorching hot oven, and Earth won't be habitable anymore. It's really just a ticking time bomb. But the good news is that we have a lot of time before it goes supernova. Scientists think that the sun will expand in about 5 billion years. Yeah, that's a long time from now. We're not going anywhere soon. So for now, we can enjoy the warmth and light it provides. So, to answer the question posed in the title, yes, we're living on borrowed time, whether it's a volcanic eruption, an asteroid strike, or the inevitable heat death of the universe, we're always at the mercy of forces beyond our control. But maybe that's not such a bad thing. Every species on Earth faces extinction at some point, including ours. If we're lucky, we'll be remembered as a footnote in history. If we're unlucky, we'll leave behind a whole lot of garbage. Either way, we're only here for a short time, so we should enjoy it while we can. So thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button. And why not learn more about the fascinating forces that shape our world? Click here to watch this video.